Welcome everyone to this recess meeting of the Will County Board for Thursday, December 21st, 2017. We call this meeting to order. If everyone would please stand. County Board members, leading us with the pledge this morning and then introducing the clergy.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And this morning, I'd like to introduce Pastor Kevin DeVries. He's from the Moni Free Methodist Church in the village of Moni. Pastor Kevin has been with the Moni Free Methodist Church since the fall of 2012. He grew up in South Holland. Pastor Kevin and his wife Kathy have 3 children. Pastor Kevin leads the church in an enthusiastic and welcoming manner, and anyone new feels comfortable right away. Pastor Kevin?
Thank you very much, Judy, for the invitation, and it's an honor. And just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays at this time of year. As we go to prayer, let us reflect on these words from the prophet Isaiah. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given. The government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Let's pray. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. We thank you this day for the Savior who has been born to us, who is Christ the Lord. We recognize that all authority on earth comes from you, the King that will reign forever. We ask today, Lord, for your wisdom and for your guidance over this body of leaders as they seek to administer justice and righteousness for the people that they represent. Lord, would you refresh these leaders with your spirit and your zeal so they may accomplish the work that you have set before them today and into this new year. As we've been mindful of our fellow man this holiday season, would you continue to give us that spirit to help us be mindful of the least of these amongst us throughout the year. May our lives and our society be marked by the love and kindness which you have showed to us first. We ask that your peace would reign in our hearts, our homes, our schools, our land, and around the world, that each of us would do our part in seeing that peace spread throughout. Be near us, with us in the rest of this meeting and this day, and we ask all of this in the matchless name of our Savior, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor? Brooks?
Yes.
Ozala? Summers? Here. Zinger?
Here.
Moran?
Present.
Rice? Here. Harris?
Here.
Trainier? Here. Benefield?
Here.
Fritz?
Here.
Militello? Balich?
Here.
Grislow?
Here.
Winfrey? Here. Parker? Here. Staley Berry? Here. Dollinger? Here. Markham?
Here.
Hart? Here. Tuminello?
Here.
Weigel?
Here.
Berry?
Here.
Solitis? Eustace?
Here. I'm here.
Mayor?
Here.
20
24 present, 2 absent.
24 present, quorum is present. Entertain a motion to place on file the certificate of publication by Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Summers. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Gala.
Yes.
Summers.
Yes.
Singer.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Rice. Yes. Harris.
Yes.
Trainier.
Yes.
Benfield.
Yes.
Fritz. Gould.
Yes.
Balich.
Yes.
Griswold.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Parker. Yes. Bailey Berry.
Yes.
Dollinger.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
Hart.
Yes.
Tuminello.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Berry.
Yes.
And Eustace.
Yes.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative, motion is carried. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Will County Board recess meeting of November 16, 2017. Ms. Summers moves, Ms. Winfrey seconds. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Moran, second by Ms. Staley Perry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Carried. Motion has carried. Madam Clerk, would you please acknowledge the elected officials and the media that is present this morning?
Sure. County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Kieran Stugel, and our Treasurer Steve Weber. Media today is Farmers Weekly Review Nick Ryer, Southtown Susan Lafferty, and Times Weekly Brockstein.
We'd like to welcome Mayor Bob Oliker. Bob, welcome to the County Board meeting. Thank you. Mayor of Joliet. Next up, honorary resolutions, proclamations. We have County Board member Tom Weigel, and will please come to the podium, recognizing Will County's achievement of gold level designation under the Soul Smart program.
Thank you. Today I'd like to share that Will County has received the designation of Gold Soul Smart Community. This award comes only 5 months after Will County's Bronze Soul Smart designation. To share more about this award with you, I'd like to introduce Curt Paddock and Sam Bourne of the Land Use Department.
Thank you, Mr. Weigel. Today is indeed a celebration of an aspect of the implementation of a plan that this body adopted almost 5 years ago, an energy efficiency and conservation plan. With that document, which later became a part of the Land Resources Management Plan, the County Board set out a set of policies to promote appropriate use of energy both within county government and then within our community as a whole. An element of that plan was to initiate various efforts that would encourage the use of alternative, innovative forms of energy production. You'll recall that one of the first and most productive outcomes of that policy was on the gas to energy facility at the landfill, which has been so productive, not only providing revenue to the county, but also providing energy to many households throughout Will County. Another element of that was to promote solar energy. We learned through our association with the Department of Energy and the National Association of Counties about a program sponsored by the Solar Foundation that was asking jurisdictions, both municipalities and counties, to look at the body of their law, permitting, regulations, etc., to see how they could be refined so that it wasn't standing in the way of a new developing component of our economy, which was the solar industry. So it seemed to be a good fit with Will County, where we're always trying to review and assess our laws to make sure that we are promoting development, not standing in the way of development. So through that process, we were able to use guidelines that they've given us to work with the board, to work with the executive department, a number of other organizations throughout the community to meet their criteria. And as Mr. Weigel pointed out, we quickly achieved bronze status, but we even more quickly have now achieved gold status. To tell you a little bit more, practically speaking, about what that means, what changed, and what the benefit to Will County businesses, homeowners will be as a result of this, I'll turn to my colleague, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Paddock. Good morning, Mr. Executive, Mr. Speaker, and County Board members. Various actions allowed us to achieve this designation. Some of those actions were already in place. That includes online permitting and fee transparency, national best practice fee costs, online inspection scheduling, and we introduced a myriad of new opportunities for education and outreach. An online residential permitting checklist and guide that will better equip Will County residents to deploy solar should they choose to do so. We also introduced the Will County Solar Source webpage, which is on the willcountyillinois.com website. It also offers financing options, education on consumer protection, and incentives that are available through the federal government, state government, and utility. Advanced training for permitting and inspection staff was at the premiere of this designation so that we can have increased preparedness as this market develops in our community. Mr. Paddock?
Well, simply in conclusion, what's the benefit of this? The whole point of this was to make our community ready for the anticipated growth of the solar industry. As you learned as a member of the board at your last committee of the whole meeting, we are already becoming a very attractive location for large-scale solar farms. There's one proposal currently before you for approval, and we can anticipate many more. So this is a situation where Will County, in anticipating a new aspect of its economic development, got out ahead of the curve. We haven't always done that. But in this case, we got out ahead of the curve, have modified our policies, set our procedures, so we are now very well prepared to accommodate the anticipated growth of private sector investment in solar industry. And this award, which is really to all of you, is recognition of that fact. Thank you.
Next up is County Board member Annette Parker, and we'll read from her desk, recognizing School Choice Week in Will County. Ms. Parker.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Again, proclamation is recognizing School Choice Week in Will County, whereas all children in Will County should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas Will County recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in Will County to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of Will County, and whereas Will County is home to a multitude of high-quality public and non-public schools in which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in the home, and whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community, and whereas Will County has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive do hereby recognize January 21st through the 27th, 2018 as Will County School Choice Week and call this observance to the attention of all our citizens. Dated this 21st day of December 2017, I move.
Moved by Ms. Parker, Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried. Thank you, Annette. All resolutions approved at the November 16, 2017 County Board meeting have been signed by the County Executive. On to our first committee, Land Use and Development Committee. Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Tom.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for land use cases.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor? Brooks?
Yes.
Ogalla? Yes. Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz? Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Berry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Tuminello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Berry?
Yes.
And Eustace.
Yes.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative, we are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. We have one case to be heard today, case ZC 17-027. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this case? Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Anyone wishing to speak on 17-027? Mr. Weigel.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Balich. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Ogalla? Yes. Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz? Yes. Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Berry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart? Hart?
Yes.
Hart, Ms. Hart?
Yes.
Tuminello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Berry?
Yes.
And Eustace.
Yes.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative, the land use hearing is closed. Mr. Weigel.
We have one case today, ZC 17027. There are petitioners requesting a special use permit for keeping of livestock, farm animals. This is an R1 property in Green Garden Township with 4 conditions. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Singer. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tuminello. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
That concludes my report. Our next meeting will be January 9th at 10:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next up, Finance Committee, Mr. Frizzalone, Chairman.
Good morning, Will County, and
Morning.
Merry Christmas. I have a few pieces of business today. First up is we have some monthly reports placed on file. We have a report from the Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to Will County for the month of September 2017 to be $1,734,709.99. The RTA tax received is $2,057,098.47 for a total of $3,791,808.46. And I also have the monthly treasurer report dated October 31st, 2017 from our Will County Treasurer, Steve Weber. And I would like to place both of these on file, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next up, I'd like to invite our Treasurer, Steve Weber, to come up and just give us an update on the current investment policy. Thanks, Steve.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hello.
Steve.
Thanks for having me up. This is an amendment or an update to our investment policy, and I wanted to share it with you. really it's for informational purposes only. We're pretty proud of our policy. It's a graduated investment policy. When I took office, it was pretty simplistic, but we charge, it's a risk-reward type graduation. So if the banks are weak or doing poorly, they pay the county more in collateral for us to invest with them. But basically, we've changed some of our benchmarks. This is our first change since 2013. And the benchmarks are how we measure performance. So now our investments that mature in less than 1 year, we use the 1-year Treasury note as our benchmark to challenge us to do better. We used to do it with a CD rate. Our portfolio has moved away from that, so we want to use something that's more relative. Investments that mature in more than 1 year, we use the 3-year Treasury bond as our benchmark. So once again, this reflects our current portfolio values. Back in the old days, we used to have a lot of CDs in the office. That's not happening. We also removed some references to the staff positions in our office, so that is an update. We also clarified the scope of our policy because we manage more than just county funds. We manage the OPEB, the pension funds, the levy funds, some state of Illinois funds. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. I would be happy to answer any questions that you folks have.
Any questions for Steve? You did a good job.
Oh, thanks. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Next up, we have some resolutions. We have 17-336, authorizing temporary loan to the County Highway Tax Fund 220 from Motor Fuel Tax Fund 222, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. President, second by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Trainer, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion carried.
17-337, designated Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce as a county depository, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. President, second by Ms. Ballinger. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Fritz, second by Ms. O'Donnell. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
17-338, designating First Bussy, I've also heard UC Corporation as a county depository, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. President, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Price, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
And we have 17-339, authorizing county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax program. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Markham. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
That's all the business we have this month. I'd like to say Happy New Year, and our next meeting will be in the new year, January 2nd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Michael. Next up, Public Works Transportation Committee, Mr. Gould, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Morning, John.
Merry Christmas to you, and Merry Christmas to all my fellow board members.
Thank you.
I would like to place on file a proposed renewal of the Clean Air Act permit program. Permit for Natural Gas Pipeline Companies of America, Station 113 in Shorewood, Illinois. To place on file.
Move to place on file. Second by Ms. Parker. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
First resolution is 17-340, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Illinois State Toll Authority and the County of Will for rehabilitation of the Cedar Road Bridge over Veterans Memorial Tollway, County Board 7. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tuminello and second by Ms. Hart. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 17-341, authorizing the approval of MFT funds for the maintenance of the Cedar Road Bridge over Veterans Memorial Parkway. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Grenier, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 17342, authorizing a license agreement between the County of Will and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for Shanahan-Manuka Road over the Illinois and Michigan Canal in the County of Will, County Board District 6. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17343, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for the installation and maintenance of flashing school lights for Reed School on 143rd Street in the County of Will, County Board District 7. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, seconded by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tuminello, second by Mr. Benefield. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
That's all I have today. Our next meeting is January 2nd at 9 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Don. Next up, Judicial Committee, Mr. Benefield, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Dave.
Fellow board members. Nothing to report from the Judicial Committee this month. Our next scheduled meeting is for January 2nd at 9 a.m. And look forward to seeing you guys.
Thank you very much. Next up after that, Public Health and Safety Committee, Ms. O'Connor, Chairperson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Judy.
I'd like to start first with saying Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy New Year. I don't have anything on my agenda today, but I thought I would just mention a couple of things. I do want to thank Dr. Caitlin Burke for coming to my committee every month and giving us an update on what's happening with the opioid crisis and how we're fighting it here in Will County. I also want to thank other members of different departments that fall underneath the public health and safety umbrella for coming forward when I asked them to come out and give me an update on specific things. I think it's really great to share with the public what's happening in those departments like animal controls, the health department, Sunnyvale, Sheriff's Department, so that we can provide that information to our residents. So, with that being said, the next Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for January 4th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next up, Mr. Mystic.
I think this may be an appropriate time to bring something else, since Judy mentioned the opiate crisis that we have, not only in Will County, but throughout this country. And I'm going to look at the state's attorney. You know, there's been some developments on what some law enforcement or state's attorney's offices are doing, counties are doing. It was announced, I guess yesterday, I heard it on the radio this morning, and that, you know, that there is an effort to go after, by counties, going after some of the pharmaceuticals, perhaps overproduce, distribute opiates, and looking for damages on how they affect counties. I don't know if you'd like to make a comment, Jim or Mary, but I do think since we're under public health and safety, this might be a good time to maybe you can tell us what you're up to.
As some of you may have heard on the radio today, there was a complaint filed in Will County Court on behalf of Will County and the people of the state of Illinois against numerous pharmaceutical companies for the damage that the excessive marketing of opioids has done to many people who are just normal citizens who had medical issues and ended up finding themselves addicted to opioids due to the excessive encouragement to use them and the representation that they were safe. So the state's attorney is in DuPage County as we speak at a press conference to announce not only is Will County filing, but so are the other collar counties in their own respective counties.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Jackie, Trinier.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with a question. I heard something yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, and I don't know if this is in Illinois or in Will County or government-wide, but about physicians now, not only when they prescribe the opioid, they're giving them Narcan with it.
I have heard that. I have not been able to confirm that, but I have heard that rumor.
Yeah, I did read it in the paper. I just don't remember who wrote the articles.
Ms. Burke, would you like to come forward and give us maybe an update on this whole situation?
Come forward?
Yep.
No.
Right here. That's why we have that podium.
Good morning. There are strategies that the state of Illinois through the task force has developed in order to reduce the number of opioid deaths. One of them is to limit the number of prescribing that's going on, but as far as prevention. So there's prevention, there's treatment, we need more access to treatment, and we need more naloxone on the street. There are some hospital systems that have looked at the problem and have been working with their medical staffs in their own systems. And they are creating new policies and new procedures in the emergency rooms and for their physicians to minimize the overdoses. Some states and some systems, and I'm not familiar with many of them around us. There are 2 hospitals?
Yeah, I just remembered as you were saying that. It's Amita Health, and I can't recall the other health system, but there's 2.
So Amelia has been on the forefront because of Linden Oaks on working with their medical staff. And the idea is that if you are going to prescribe a long-term use of opioids, then you should have naloxone, because whether you're 14 or 96, there is a possibility that you may misuse them accidentally as well as overuse them as your tolerance grows. When someone's taking an opioid for chronic pain, your tolerance gets increasing. You need more and more in order to reduce that pain. And so that's often what people start to do. They start to increase it to the point where it's a toxic level and they overdose. And which is why we do not encourage long-term chronic pain relief with opioids. And so we would like to see a couple of things. We'd like to see the emergency room physicians, when they give opioids, send naloxone home. We'd like to see the emergency room physicians send naloxone home with anyone who's overdosed. Actually, we'd like to see them not send someone home but get them directly into treatment. But if all cases, naloxone should absolutely be prescribed. And then we would like to see physicians who, if you have an orthopedic procedure, you might be on some opioids. That's their standard procedures. Send home with naloxone. Any chance that you may overdose, you should have the antidote. So that's been a lot of what we're trying to create change with the medical physicians, and that takes time. And if we can do little steps. We've been working with Silver Cross and St. Joseph's and now Bolingbrook to get our emergency room physicians to understand addiction and address it in a more medically appropriate way.
Mr. Tuminello, question?
Yes, I just wanted to add, that obviously this is a very important subject, but we all know individuals that have addictions to opioids, and it turns into heroin eventually, and a lot of times very fatal. So when I look at that, I really want to commend you, because just the educational portion of it and the outreach has been exceptional. And I'll just give you, for instance, yesterday my daughter had her wisdom teeth pulled, and the first thing they give you right away is the prescription to the opioid. Right? And through the classes and listening and understanding what you were trying to explain, and through your outreach, I asked the doctor, is there an option, because I don't want to give my 19-year-old daughter an opioid for a pain pill? Yes, they have an alternative. The Tylenol, Advil, there's a higher level of Tylenols that you could give and avoid that. And through the entire night, everything was great, and she had no issues with no pain. And I never exposed her to that. So I do think with the prescription writing by the doctors and some more awareness to the community, to outreach, I think we could start curbing some of these issues that we have.
Yes, thank you very much for saying that. Actually, the coalition, the Will County Coalition, that was created through the sheriff's office, and which focuses more on children. I focus on adults, but on children. That was one of the subjects we talked about this week, because I would like them to do much more education in how to interface with your doctor, how to represent yourself, and you know your body better than anybody else.
Well, and one of the things is, when I brought it up, and my wife was there with me, and said, we don't want to, we want to go this other route.
Right.
And the first thing the doctor said, now they said, we'll bring up the doctor. And one won't bother you, two won't bother you, nothing will bother, but, you just don't want to take that chance. You don't want to expose them at such a young age, if there is a possibility. Because 6% of everyone who does that, or tries them, or takes those, are going to become addicted. 6%. I don't think people realize that. So if you're at the hospital and 150 people are getting those opioids, 9 of them are going to walk out addicted to those opioids.
Right.
And that's not a risk that we could afford to take, in my opinion.
Well, and it's not necessary, because as you found out, Tylenol and ibuprofen routine works. And you just have to ask doctors to go to the lowest level as opposed to start at the highest level. So we're asking them to reverse their strategy, so that if someone is given the lowest level and it's not working, well, then you bump it up, as opposed to, let's just drug everybody so that we don't have to worry about them the rest of the night, which is what's going on. But, no offense, but everyone wants to facilitate the ease of their profession, and that's what they do. Now we're just retraining people. That's all. It's about retraining and recommunication. And as consumers of healthcare, it's your responsibility to advocate for yourselves. You do not have to take these pills. You do not have to accept that that's the only strategy for reducing your pain. You also don't have to ask a physician to be 100% out of pain. People live with pain all the time, and you need to manage that in a way that is healthy. So, yeah, here we go on that.
Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Mary, was the suit that was filed, was it just Will County and DuPage, or multi-county suit in Will County?
Each of the counties have filed their own lawsuit. So
in their respective
in
counties?
their respective counties.
Oh,
so
okay.
the lawsuit that Will County's is filed here in Will County in the 12th Judicial Circuit, and is on behalf of Will County and the people of the state of Illinois.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Hart, Chairperson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Executive Walsh, Will County. Thank you. We have just one of our resolution for our state agenda. And I would like to go ahead and motion to approve.
Ms. Hart move forward, and second by Mr. Mayor. We have a number of people wants to from the public to speak on this issue. So first up is Elizabeth Schaefer. Please come forward. Next up will be Peggy Grandel, when Elizabeth is through. Morning.
Good morning, and thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Elizabeth Schaefer, and I am a resident of Will County. In my professional life, I am the Director of Global Strategic Marketing and Product Management for Illinois Toolworks, ITW. My passion outside of work is helping rescue dogs. I foster for 2 different rescue organizations. I've been a foster mom to 25 dogs. The reason I am here today is due to my last 2 fosters, Hope, age 8, who is at home, and Grace, age 7, who is here with me today. I am here today not only as a concerned citizen, but also as the voice for Hope and Grace. As you see, both are puppy mill moms and survivors. They are the lucky ones. Both are so damaged as a result that they will never be able to find forever homes. Grace was discarded after she could not naturally deliver her last little. She was taken to a vet and asked to have the puppies removed without her being put under. The vet was told to dispose of her. She was no longer of any value. Grace, who was just a number at that time, had no worth beyond supplying litter after litter to local pet stores. Luckily, the vet called a rescue who was willing to sponsor Grace. When she came into the rescue group, she was so matted in her own feces that she had to be completely shaved down to her skin. She had terrible teeth, sores, and rashes all over her body. She also had scabs all over her head from bug bites. She was completely shut down and would not make eye contact for the first year she was with us. This is not an uncommon occurrence in rescue when we get discarded mill moms and dads. Grace is on anxiety medication and will be for the rest of her life. She was seen by a vet behaviorist and was diagnosed with generalized anxiety, or the fear of everything. Grace has been with my family for 15 months. We ended up adopting her recently, as we knew she would never be successful in a home without someone experienced at working with dogs to counter condition as much of their fear and anxiety as was possible. It is a daily struggle and a lot of work, but we think Grace is worth it. Unlike many mill moms and dads, Grace is lucky. She got out and into rescue. Grace is a survivor. Now to be Hope's voice. Hope was a breeder mom as well. As she aged, she was no longer producing as many puppies. She was overbred, as she has enlarged and deformed nipples and will have those for the rest of her life. She was put up for sale at an auction to go to another puppy mill breeder when she wasn't performing her only duty up to par. Not to be a loving, golden family member, but to produce puppies, litter after puppy litter, to supply puppies to pet stores. That was her only purpose. Disgusted by that? I sure am. Luckily, a rescue was there and paid the fee for her and 3 other mill moms that day. Hope is worse than Grace. She is on so many anxiety meds and will also most likely be on them for the rest of her life. She gets 5 people-grade anxiety meds in the morning, 2 at night, and 2 before bed. She was adopted but returned as the family did not want to pay her 70-plus monthly med bills, so took her off of them. They didn't know. As a result, she was so anxious that she ripped through their sofa and set of speakers. She was dropped at a vet clinic the next day with stress lick sores all over her legs and body. She has seen a vet behaviorist 5 times in less than 1 year. She cannot handle any motorized noises. She becomes undone when she hears a vacuum, hairdryer, blender, lawnmower, leaf blower, and that's been very hard in the last couple of months with all of the leaf blowing activity going on. She will never be a normal dog with a normal life. We manage her life to reduce her stress as much as possible. I am asking you today for hope and for Grace, and so many other mill moms and dads like them who are stuck in small cages their whole lives with a sole purpose to breed and supply puppies for pet stores. Put a stop to puppy mills and the horrors that the mill dogs like Hope and Grace endure. Help me be their voice. Agree that the only answer is not to allow pet stores to sell puppies for mills, as you call them, commercial breeders. The only way to stop this practice is to not need a supply of puppies from these so-called breeders. Make no mistake, this is where they come from. For Hope, for Grace, for the mill dogs left behind, let's take a stand and say no more. Let's bring the most aggressive, humane ordinance to Will and DuPage County. Let's be the example. Please let Hope and Grace and all the mill dogs left behind know that they do matter, that they are more than breeding dogs. I welcome each and every one of you to my house to meet them in person, see photos and videos of their journey, and see that they will never be what we consider normal pets. I promise you won't leave thinking current standards and puppy mill sourcing methods by pet stores are okay. Please help me be Hope and Grace's voice. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and share their stories.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up will be after Peggy, Diana Bright.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Peggy Randall. I'm from Joliet, and I'm involved in rescue. Pet stores claim they don't contribute to the problems that rescue groups work to solve. It's not true. The store's products do end up in our shelters after the buyers encounter the health and behavioral issues so pervasive in pet store animals. The breeders, producers do end up in our rescues when they're too old or too sick to be profitable, as we've just heard about. The store's business practices do contribute to pet overpopulation and the rise of congenital illnesses by selling ill-bred and tapped animals. Rescue has no agenda of profit. We look into the eyes of the dogs cast aside when the novelty wears off. We see the innocent animals euthanized. We're the ones handed the leash when a senior dog is dropped off at the kill shelter because they were replaced by that cute puppy from the pet store that has a warranty. Puppies become impulse purchases despite their inflated prices. Purebred dogs selling up to $6,000 and mixed breeds selling in the thousands, with stores offering instant credit up to $5,000 to make it easy. And the warranties. Yes, the stores say they pay the vet bills if the pup gets sick or dies. Throwing money at a problem doesn't make selling poorly bred animals acceptable. You tell a child why their new puppy died. That refund's not going to stop the tears and the loss that they will never forget. Saying that the warranty makes pet store puppies a better choice than adopting from a rescue or shelter is another marketing ploy. Rescues don't turn their backs on the dogs we rescue. We fundraise and basically do whatever it takes to provide life-saving treatment, even to those animals that we've already found loving homes for. The claim that pet store puppies are ethically sourced, not true. The American Kennel Club, every American Kennel Club breed club discourages consumers from purchasing puppies from pet stores, and their guidelines prohibit their breeders from selling to pet stores. But keep in mind, the AKC plays both sides here. They profit from the registration fees for all those puppies that chips into those pet stores, and they have a major financial interest in keeping the pipeline open. And pet store designer puppies, specialty breeds. Those are randomly mated dogs for profit, and giving them phony names like English Sheepadoodle, Schnocker, or Daisy Dog doesn't make them any healthier or better choice than an adoptable rescue puppy. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, a Daisy Dog, in case you're wondering, is a mix of a poodle and a teddy bear. A teddy bear is a mix of a Bichon Frise and a Shih Tzu. All this for $2,500 plus tax with 6 financing and leasing options. The industry is a dark and dirty one. Consumers don't know or don't care about these issues until they become the victims. They are preyed upon with slick marketing and lies, perpetuating the mix of consumer fraud built on the backs of animal cruelty. I understand your hesitancy, or any hesitancy by legislators in legislating how businesses sell or source their products and services. There is no other business like this. This isn't about cigarettes, liquor, guns, gambling, all of which have laws and regulatory actions. These products are living, breathing companion animals whose parents are nothing more than breeding machines left behind to stock the stores. These are the products that our kids fall in love with. They share our lives, and our hearts are broken when they get old, and we have to say goodbye to them. Companies evaluate their business models in changing times. So why is this industry different? Well, they're not, but they want you to think so. The law will not be putting any pet stores out of business. They're doing that to themselves by not admitting that they run with an outdated business model. It's time to stop making excuses for an industry that has been taking advantage of consumers for years. It's time to step up and do what's morally and ethically the right thing to do. I thank you all very much for your time today and having the caring concern to put this on your agenda. It's very much appreciated by all of us and all those that can't be here or are still left behind in the mills, or the families that are still crying over the dogs that they've lost.
Thank you very much for your comment. Diana Bright. Then it will be Curt Paddock. I think it's Curt.
Thank you very much for listening to me today. Happy holidays to everyone. My name is Diana Bright. I am a Joliet and Will County resident. I'm also a small business owner in the city of Joliet. My family and I own Bright Dogs. We are a dog training, boarding, and daycare facility for dogs. One of the things my husband did a few years ago is walk out of his banking job and decided to go into dog training because the number one reason dogs are returned is because of their behavior problems. The number one reason for behavior problems is because dogs who are frequently adopted do have issues. We understand that. But dogs who are purchased also have issues. I'm also here as a mom. And as a mom, we decided last year in January to start rescuing and fostering dogs. And so we have 3 rescues that we have fostered, and they're ones. We also have foster dogs, and one of the foster dogs we got was Patty Melt. She was number 28. We took off her tag as she came in our door, and then we immediately rushed her up to the bathtub because she was the most disgusting dog I've ever laid my hands on. She was covered in feces from head to toe, and she was also about 3/4 of the way through her pregnancy. When we agreed to foster, they told my 11-year-old not to be in the room because when she went into labor, there was a possibility that the puppies would be deformed or something would be wrong with them, which was why Patty was given up. She was sold at a mill auction in Missouri to a rescue. And when we got her home and she did go into labor, we shooed our kids out of the room, which was the complete opposite of the experience I wanted for my kids. Luckily, all 5 of Patty Milt's dogs were born absolutely beautiful. She was bred with a Merle, and for those of you who don't know, Pomeranian Merles go for about $2,500 to $5,000 in the regular market. So as you can guess, Patty Milt was quite a dollar maker. We did have 2 Merles, we did have 3 Black Bears, so we had 5 puppies who were gorgeous. The adoption fee covered Patty's medical, all the puppies' medical, and everything that my family wound up doing, which was feeding all 6 of them for the 15 weeks that we had them. The babies were not taken from the mom at an early age. They were all socialized. They were all very well maintained and handled by people who actually hugged and cuddled and did all those things. All those things that puppy mill dogs never get to experience. Our latest foster is Raisin. Raisin is 7 years old and has been bred every single heat that she has gotten to. So if you do the math, she's worth a lot. She's a mini schnauzer. Raisin's deaf. They did not disclose that when we purchased her. She also had a double ear infection, a bladder infection, bladder stones, a UTI, and was considered to be currently bred and was expecting. She did not actually take. So please, this is for all of them. This is for the kids who want to be involved in things like this, and I shouldn't have to shoo my daughter away. Reputable breeders are out there. There is no need for a middleman. If you want a purebred dog, you can go to a reputable breeder. Also, I went home after this last one, and my son said, "Why do you keep doing this? Every time you come home, you're angry." And I said, "I'm angry because I want it to change so that you don't ever have to deal with this. So end it now. Be the people who make a difference for the future." Thank you.
Thank you very much. Curt. And after him is Carl Swanson.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me come. My name is Curt Paddock. I'm also a Will County resident, but also the lobbyist for the Illinois Pet Lovers Association. We actually share the same passion and concerns of many shared here that puppy mills should be put out of business. It actually does no favors to pet stores at all to have puppy mills in existence, and that is why we came and testified before the legislative committee about why we passed Senate Bill 1882, the Safe Pets Bill. I do need to apologize. I did misspeak on one aspect of my testimony for the legislative committee. It came to my attention that I was wrong on the time frame of when we introduced our bill. It was actually after the USDA website was placed in line. There's a fact I didn't know actually until about 2 days ago. So I apologize if my fact pattern was wrong, but the testimony I had at that time remains the same. Didn't know that that was an issue when we filed our bill. When we found it out through negotiations, we addressed it right away to make sure that any breeder that a pet store is thinking of purchasing from, they have to have USDA inspection reports from that breeder, making sure that there are no critical or direct violations for a 2-year period. Again, we passed the Safe Pets bill this past spring through extensive negotiations with multiple stakeholders, including Humane Society, United States, Cook County, State Veterinarians Association. At the end of the day, we came to an agreement on legislation to ensure that only reputable breeders are allowed to be the sourcing for pet stores. Again, they have to be USDA, if it's a commercial breeder, it has to be USDA licensed, and it has to have no violations within the last 2-year period. Those are the reputable breeders we believe will ensure that puppy mills are not accessible here in Illinois through pet stores. And if we're in violation of that, we risk penalties, fines, and the removal of our business license. And that's exactly what we want. If there's not a good actor, they need to have consequences to them. And so we think that the proposal before you is a little premature. This law was just signed and became effective late August of this year. We want to work with everybody to make sure that it works as intended, to make sure puppy mills don't have access to Illinois. So that's what we ask. We ask for, give this new law some time. Let it work. And if it doesn't, let's revisit it at that point in time. But let's, our request is, let's let this new law work. Make sure only reputable breeders are selling at pet stores. And if there needs to be changes at a later date, let's do it that way. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Mr. Carl Swanson, and then after that, Morgan Durdak.
Hello, my name is Carl Swanson. I'm the owner of Petland Naperville. I'm also the president of the Illinois Pet Lovers Association. Pet stores are the most regulated place that you can find a new dog. We are subject to the puppy lemon law. That requires us to warranty every puppy we sell for a minimum of 12 months for congenital hereditary disorders. There is no other place that does this, not the rescue, not the shelter, not the online breeders, not buying direct from a breeder, just the pet store. The Safe Pets bill that Curt just addressed, that ensures that puppy mills are not selling in the state of Illinois to pet stores. What you heard earlier is that the rescue shelter community is going to the dog auction. They are buying the dogs, and they are perpetuating, by doing that, the puppy mills that we would never buy from. The rescue shelter only model that has been proposed will cause pet stores to close. And I mean that, it will cause them to close. I have 20 employees in Petland Naperville that will all lose their jobs. Their families will lose that income. And I just wanted to make that clear, that this does close business. Thank you.
Thank you. Morgan Durdak. And then lastly, I think it's Mark Ayers. You don't have to run.
Thank you. My name is Morgan Durdak. I'm a Joliet resident, and I've lived in Will County for 30 years. 3 years ago, I founded Safe Pets for Joliet to organize public support for ordinances that would end our local government's support of the pet store and puppy mill industry. We're a community group of primarily Will County residents who care about animals and want our legislators to do right by us. Between 2013 and 2016, 82% of the USDA licensed breeders from Joliet's pet store, Furry Babies, were non-compliant with the Federal Animal Welfare Act. And keep in mind that dogs are considered livestock by the federal government, and the Animal Welfare Act is an extremely weak and rarely enforced law. Even the government itself has acknowledged this in USDA Animal Care Unit audits performed by the Office of the Inspector General in 2010 and 2014. The hobbyists and pet stores are telling you that the amendment to the Illinois Animal Welfare Act made this year will take care of these problems with what they call a high standard for pet store breeders. They're lying. I could provide you with countless examples, but I'll just give you one. Breeder Bob Mackey of Missouri qualifies to sell to Illinois pet stores under the amended law, and Brady's has been purchasing from him since at least 2013. Mackey was found non-compliant with the Federal Animal Welfare Act at least 15 times from 2013 to 2015. Violations included having a dog with eye disease and a bleeding cut on its leg, 3 dogs with dental disease, and 2 dogs with eye disease, none of which have been examined by a vet. He was also using expired and unlabeled medication and providing unsanitary living conditions, among other things. But Mackey meets Illinois' new high standards. Furry Babies was continuing to purchase from Mackey in 2016. Furry Babies is the same store that requires its consumers to opt out of the state's puppy lemon law and includes a clause in their contract that prohibits customers from suing them. I guess they got tired of being sued for selling sick dogs. In closing, I would just like to say that I'm grateful you are considering backing stronger animal welfare legislation in Springfield, and it will be an early Christmas gift for us when you pass the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ayers?
I'll be the quickest speaker yet. Mark Ayers, State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. Thank you, Will County. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for placing this on your agenda. I really appreciate it. The animals really appreciate it. It speaks volumes to your character for doing this. The HSUS is the nation's largest animal protection organization. So again, I thank you. I want to thank Suzanne Hart for your passion. I want to thank State's Attorney James Glasgow for his passion on this as well. I encourage you to work on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We got a motion and a second on 17-344. Is there any discussion? Ms. Ogala?
Thank you. I just wanted to comment that I think that there are people who don't want us to support this, and I understand the reasoning for that. But I think that by doing this, that we send a message that we're done with puppy mills, that we're not going to allow these people who continue to have animals in terrible situations to continue to breed. All of our dogs we've gotten from either showed up at our farm, or we found them at, one was at a St. Anne auction. The owners of the auction, their dog and the neighbor's dog had puppies. And so we've always felt that there are plenty of animals that need to be adopted without going and purchasing one for thousands of dollars. But I think that we need to really make it a clear message. And when it goes to Springfield, they have the opportunity to do many things. And one of them might be to have a special type of license for people who do a great job at breeding and have sold puppies to pet stores that are in very good condition and make wonderful pets. Maybe they'll come up with special type of terms that they could allow them to go ahead and sell to pet stores and make the situation better for the animals and the families that adopt them. So I think that we're making a good decision here, even though there are some that think it will hinder them. I hope that this process makes things better for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks?
Even though I am supportive of this policy, I talked with President Hart earlier today, and she did assure me that this is still a fluid, there's still room and time for discussion, even though it's passed when it goes back to committee. We just got it today, didn't have a chance to really look at it, but we like to further discuss it as well later on down the road. Thank you for that.
Can I just comment? And Herb, you're talking more, so not about this, of course. You're talking
Not
about
the entire agenda.
Because it is a fluid.
Correct, the entire agenda.
And a black document that we could go and look at.
Correct.
Absolutely. I actually would like to, down the road, and maybe get together with Judy's committee and talk and go into a little bit more depth of what we can do with the opiates and kind of see what is going to be out there. And of course, our lobbyists know that where we stand, but maybe we can kind of look at some legislation that you can go and dig into as well, because that is by far our most important issue right there. We can call the question.
Are you moving to passage?
To pass, yes. Already there. We already did.
You have a motion and a
In a
second.
second.
We have a motion and a
I
second.
know that, I know that. Okay. I thought somebody put it on. Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Ogalla,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Singer,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Rice,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Trainier,
Yes.
Bonnefield,
Yes.
Fritz, Gould,
Yes.
Balich,
Yes.
Frissalone,
Yes.
Winfrey,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Stanfieri,
Yes.
Dollinger,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Tuminello,
Yes.
Weigel,
Yes.
Berry,
Yes.
and Eustace.
Yes.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. Resolution 17-344 has been passed.
Thank you. Our next legislative and policy meeting is scheduled for January 9th, 9 a.m. And by the way, if anyone was wondering, I got my first letter from my sailor. Merry Christmas. Thank you. This is a Merry Christmas day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, Capital Improvements Committee, Mr. Tuminello, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Ray.
First on the agenda is 17-345, authorizing the county executive to execute an antenna and equipment license for the use of radio tower site owned by President Health. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tuminello, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next is 17-346, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Crete to provide access to the countywide radio system. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tuminello, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogalla, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next is 17-347, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Manhattan to provide access to the countywide radio system. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tuminello, second by Mr. Singer. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next is 17-348, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Mokina to provide access to the countywide radio system. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tuminello, second by Mr. Weigel. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Staley Perry, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next is 17-349, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Joliet Township Road District to provide access to the county radio system. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tuminello, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next is 17-350, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Forest Preserve District of Will County to provide access to the county radio system. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tuminello, second by Ms. Hart. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Balich, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
I will tell you, it's been an incredible month, the last 30 days, with the Sheriff's Department moving into the new Sheriff's facility, the conversion for all 31 agencies to get onto our countywide radio system. I know we moved a bunch of them over on Monday and Wednesday of this week to finalize that. And yesterday having the groundbreaking. So I thank everybody who took the time to show up to the groundbreaking yesterday and everybody that was instrumental in helping these projects get off the ground. And I thank you, and also want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ray.
My next meeting will be January 2nd at 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Next up, Executive Committee, Mr. Eustace, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, County Board. My first item today is 17-332, I'm going to make a motion to remove this from the table.
Moved by Mr. Mister, second by Mr. Mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Okay, my first item today is 17-332, authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with the Fera Consulting Group for professional services under the Workforce Investment Agency. And I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mister, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Ms. Rice?
I do support the Pat Fera contract, but I also hope that as a board, we take a look in the coming months at our policy on hiring consultants so that we have a clean process when it comes to a vote. I know last month's table was in part people's question on our policy and practices. So I hope that we're able to take a look at that so we have cleaner processes coming forward.
Okay, thank you. Good suggestion.
We'll be looking at that.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
O'Donnell? Yes. Summers? Yes. Singer?
No.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice? Yes. Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
No.
Fritz? No. Gould?
No.
Balich?
No.
Brislow?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Tuminello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
And Eustace?
Yes.
Affirmative, 7 negative.
17 affirmative, 7 negative. Motion has carried.
Our next item is 17-352, amending the ordinance expanding the boundaries of the Plains River Valley Enterprise Zone. And I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any discussion? Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Executive, I just want to clear, somebody said I said 352, it is 351, just to make that clarification if I didn't speak.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Summers? Yes. Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice? Yes. Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz? Yes. Gould?
No.
Balich?
Yes.
Brislow?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Tuminello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
And Eustace?
Yes.
23 affirmative, 1 negative.
23 affirmative. Motion is carried. Please continue.
Next, we have resolution 17-352, amending the Plains River Valley Enterprise Zone intergovernmental agreement for the Echo Lab expansion request, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mister, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, Mr. Gould.
On 352, I vote to be a yes.
Thank you very much. Motion has carried.
Next, we have 17-353, amending the Plains River Valley Enterprise Zone IGA for the Rock Run Crossing expansion request, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mister, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Staley Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary?
Opposed?
Vote no, John.
No.
Beth Price wants to be a no. Anybody else want to be a no? that two? Motion has carried.
Next item is 17-354, amending the fourth update to the Will County Solid Waste Management Plan, 2007 through 2016 update. I'm going to move for approval. And I don't know if you want Dean to come down and say a few words or not, but I think sometimes we go over these types of updates and we don't always put the emphasis on the importance of these updates for our solid waste program, the importance solid waste planning is for our county. And I had to think, and I actually think we are, one of the leaders of Will County in how we solid waste planning. So these updates are necessary to do. We do it about every 5 years. I don't know if Dean wants to add anything, but our solid waste plan is important to this county and to the residents of
Moved by Mr. Minister, second by Mr. Gruel.
Well, we just...
Come on, Ed, you're going to speak.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Podium.
Yes, you recall a couple months ago, we were here, we gave a presentation on the plan, there was some comments. We addressed the comments in the final version. And so things like, expanding the service area to Prairie View, expanding the landfill itself, those are all recommended changes in this final document. So just so you know, we did hear your comments, we put them in there, and so as we go forward, we'll proceed accordingly. For the service area portion, we have to get, federal approval of that. And of course, if we went past 2042, which is the current end date, we'd have to also get federal approval. So, but everything else is pretty much what it was. It was released in July. We had public comments in addition to the county board comments and written and verbal. So I think it's gone fairly smooth. We haven't had any significant issues. Everyone's been fairly complimentary, or at least giving good advice to us.
Maybe if I may, before you leave the podium, we've seen today we're recognized as a gold standard for solar, but on our solid waste program, maybe not directly, but all the renewable energy is part of our solid waste program.
Yeah, there is some mention of that, absolutely.
A lot of what we see is sort of renewables and so forth do come out of our solid waste division, part of the county. So I just wanted to point that out, that it's more than just trash collection.
Yeah.
We need renewables and of course we sell our methane gas for electric generation and so forth. So.
We'll hopefully address the excess too soon. We talked about that. Recently. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot to it. We have 2 landfills there away. Takes in 10 to 15,000 tons a day. It's probably the most active landfill in the Midwest. But it's cleaning up a lot of brownfield sites, a lot of contaminated sites. So it's serving a purpose. It's also capping the old gypsum pile. So there is some different things that are going on right there. And then our landfill, matter of fact, I just filled out a form. The Army wanted me to talk about all the benefits that the landfill has provided to the whole area. I mean, it does create jobs. All the revenue also helps the county with its capital improvements. Environmental programs, like you said, I think we do pretty well. We try to capture as much as we can of the waste stream, so that saves space at the landfill as well. And basically, it's an economic driver in a lot of ways. So
that's true. It's a revenue producer for us. The other thing to point out is also the cleanup of Medaywood couldn't take place without our landfill.
Yeah, we've saved them $20 million probably already in disposal fees.
So also it helps with that project moving forward, and they're able to put other resources into that actual restoration to disposal.
Absolutely, yep. So, and you'll see more programs coming out, you know, over the next few years in relation to waste management and just us doing more vehicles, you know. So, yeah, well, I appreciate all your support. We couldn't do it, obviously, if we didn't have your support in adopting this plan. And whenever we bring a proposal to you, obviously, we're trying to follow through on that. I appreciate all that. And it's good to have the money, too, to work with so we can do the programs. So, I appreciate that.
Anyone want to ask a question? Dean, any comments? Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. We've got a motion and a second, 17-354. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Let's have resolution.
Oh, yes, Rice and, Ms. Rice and Mr. Gould, do you want to be a yes on this? You were a no. Yes. Yes, okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Next, I have resolution 17-355, authorizing an agreement between the City of Joliet Housing Authority and Joliet and the county for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development assessment of fair housing. Now move for approval.
By Mr. Muser, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Summer. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
17-356, declaring vehicles as surplus and authorizing disposal. Now move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Muster, second by Mr. Balich. Any question? Any question? Ms. Hart and second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 17-357, declaring sheriff's seized vehicles surplus and authorizing disposal in state contract through Clinton Auto, and I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Muser, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next, you authorize the payment of an invoice for the local sheriff of New Road Bike Path in Paducah, County Board District 6, using RTA funds. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
17-359, authorizing IGA with Joliet for the condemnation of land for road improvement purposes. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Muster, second by Ms. Winfield. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Ms. Staley Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, 17-360, and we continue to negotiate the legalese of this agreement. So I'm going to make a motion. We're not there yet, so I'm going to make a motion on the advice of the State's Attorney's Office to remove it from the agenda. We brought back probably next month.
Moved by Mr. Muster to remove it from the agenda.
Yes.
Second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, 17-361, proposing the Illinois Highway Authority conduct a feasibility study for the purpose of widening I-80. And I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Minister, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Benefield.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I just wanted to just speak briefly here on this resolution for the widening of I-80, which quite honestly I believe is a necessary request and study, but throughout Will County, we've got many roads that are highly congested and in my I consider some of them to be dangerous. A couple roads I can think of at places are Route 53 is a road that's highly traveled and highly congested. And there should probably be a study done on Route 53. One highway that's in my district is Route 30, and it runs through Plainfield, and it's a state highway. But Route 30 has some very dangerous intersections on it, and I'm sure that everyone is aware that lives up in the northern part of the district that there's accidents on Route 30 definitely monthly, if not bi-weekly. And so one of the statements within this resolution states that whereas the safety of the citizens of the county of Will and the motoring public traveling through Will County on I-80 is of the utmost concern of the Will County Board. That really impacts me because I believe that a study of sorts should be commissioned on Route 30 in our District 5 here in Will County. I don't know where, I'm certain that the state's aware of the conditions of Route 30 in our district, and I'm certain that they probably have it on a plan somewhere, and I'd like to know where on that Illinois Department of Transportation plan have they identified Route 30 as a potential safety study that's to be provided and done. And so my question is just, where can we go to at the Illinois Department of Transportation to see if they have already identified this as a dangerous highway or a highway that needs additional public safety revisions? And how can I find that out?
You know, Darren, I understand what you're saying. Of course, this deals more with an interstate. You're talking about some other state roads. I'm sure that it's in the overall plan we can find that. And I'm sure we can get where the stands of different projects. You know, funding for roads, not only in Illinois, but throughout the country, is going to continue to be difficult. When you look at I-80, for example, you could be looking at a project that is $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion, and you have the state of Illinois has $1.2 billion to spend on all roads. I thought if they had spent all the money on one section of roads like I-80. So we look for what else is feasible. But certainly I think that perhaps Jeff, our highway engineer, Jeff Rolison, could maybe talk to IDOT and just get overall statuses of different road projects that the state needs to do. But keep in mind, the funding is going to be difficult, and it's only going to become more difficult in the future. I read an article that said 50% of the cars in 10 years will be electric. Well, that means they're not going to the gas pump. You know, roads aren't free. I don't know why they have free ways. Every time you fill up your gas tank, you're paying for a road. How are these revenues going to be replaced? I mean, it's going to be some real challenges, I think, in the next 10 to 20 years on how are you going to fund roads. And, I think it's going to take a lot of political will to determine what other revenue streams are going to look for roads or how they're going to do it. You do things that relate to automobiles, excise taxes, I don't know. But my point is that it's only going to become more difficult, and we have to look at every possible option to improve our infrastructure. So, but something that may be done, you can request the Mr. Gould's committee take a look at the status of various IDOT projects within Will County.
Thank you, Mr. Executive and Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Darren. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? We got a motion and a second on 361.
Yes, sir.
Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Wright. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
And before I go on to, I'm gonna maybe just wait a few seconds because I want to bring her in here. So I'm gonna wait just a second. If you just be patient with me for a second. Oh, I can do this. Well, yeah, we can do this. So I'll do number 13, 17, 362, new hires for the Laramie Communication Center.
Second. All moved? Moved. Mr. Minister? I moved, yes. Moved by Mr. Minister, second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
She's not in here yet. I think we're gonna have to drag her in. Yeah. But I think, as most of you are aware of, Karen Burke, who's worked for the county for the last 22 years, both in the executive's office and here she comes. Both in the executive's office and on the county board, will be retiring at the end of the year. Karen has been a devoted employee, dedicated both to the executive's office and to this county board. I will miss Karen. I've known Karen for a long time now, and so is she here? Karen. She's been a great asset for the company. She has. So, Karen, I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Thank you, that's all.
Okay.
I appreciate it all. I enjoy working with all of you.
The thanks is all from us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Okay, then we'll move on to the appointments. Well, the next committee meeting of the executive committee will be January 4th. Next, then we'll move on to the appointments of the county executives of various boards and commissions. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Mr. Executive, that concludes the business of the executive.
Thank you very much. On to public comment. Anyone here wishes to come? We have one signed up. Yes, sir. Roy, is it Minger? Mr. Weigel, you want to make a comment?
His father was a county board member at one time. Yes, you are. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me today. My name is Skip Menger. I'm with the New Orleans Fire Protection District. I'm a trustee. And about 3 years ago, this is about the wreaths for Across America. This last Saturday we had it here in Abraham. And 3 years ago I got involved with Chief Ingledow, which some people know from Joliet, became our chief for a couple of years. His father Harry was buried out there. And I'm a non-veteran, and I went out there. And the following year, I'm chairman of the Save the Wreaths for Veterans. We raised enough money for 400 wreaths. And just to give you an idea, this year we raised 1,330 wreaths. or almost $20,000. To give you a perspective of that, there's 18,500 wreaths. So the Lennox Group had a heck of a percentage, okay? There's over 43,000 graves there, of which only 18,500 have a wreath. And I think every veteran at Christmas time deserves a wreath. But I can't do this without help. So just to give you an idea, there was over 40 volunteers that went on our bus that one of our sponsors pays for. Everything is out of the people that we get the funding. But we had a great time. But what I'd like to do today is whatever the county can help with this, we sure appreciate in any form. And second of all, the way we got from 400 wreaths to 1,330 wreaths, the section out there is 1,900 wreaths, or $27,000, or $15 a wreath. And without that, I need some more help. So, but in that fact, you have a person sitting here that was a sponsor and donated money. And that's Ray Tuminello. And if I'd like to, if that's all right with you, I'd like to give him a gift from the wreaths across America.
Absolutely.
Could you come forward, Ray? By the way, it is a surprise. He did not know. But this is Ray and his daughter out at Abraham Cemetery. And thank you so much for your donation. We can't get
Well, if I'd have known that, I probably would have dressed up a little better.
Thank you so much for your help. So thank you for hearing me. And like I say, next year, if you help in whatever way, we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For all you do.
Thank you, Skip.
Next on the agenda, any comments by county board members? Ms. Summers.
Thank you, Executive Walsh, and just want to wish everyone that I sit on the board with that works at this county a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And one other comment. Kathleen Burke, I don't know if she's still sitting there. Hi, Kathleen, you rock. And you know how I feel about this. This was a big Christmas present to me today to see that we were able to push through and file the class action lawsuit. When I came to the county a few months ago, it didn't appear that that was going to happen. So today, that was, for me, was a Christmas present. The second Christmas present I got, thanks to you.
Hold on. Think you're bad. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Summers.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
I wanted, Ray, education's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah. So just from that one thing, and that's all we've ever asked for. If we make a difference with one person, we've done a good thing. Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a safe New Year.
Thank you. Any other comment? Mr.
Balich, Ms. Larry, I feel like I need to address this to you. It's not, it's not nothing bad. But before I say this, Merry Christmas, and God bless everybody here and their families, okay? But the reason I want you to know is because it's concerning your staff. Now, the county board, which I'm a member of, it's my job to help make policy better for the people. And that's all we're supposed to do. We're not the enemy of your staff. And the staff is supposed to implement our policies. And I understand all that. And the reason I'm telling you this is because after a land use meeting last time, I had an incident with Mr. Paddock. I was complimenting two people from land use about how well the zoning update went. And then I was told I was given personal insults by Mr. Paddock. Now, my temper flared, so I said the exact same words back to him, which I shouldn't have. That's inappropriate. But it was inappropriate for him to say to begin with. Now, everybody knows I've argued with everybody on this board at one point or another about something. Because I have opinions and I'm not afraid to stand up for them. But I never once told anybody a personal insult. And I feel that when your staff does that to me, that made me do something that I've never done. Because I would never insult him. But I was so mad I did it right back. That was stupid on my part. But at the same time, he should never have initiated that kind of discussion. It's okay to think I'm whatever, but don't say that to me. And I felt it's important that you hear that, so that you might want to say something to the staff or not. But, you know, it's nothing against human beings here. I look at it like I'm here to do a job to make policies the best I can for the people I represent, which is the entire county and most of where I live in District 7. So with that, again, God bless everybody and Merry Christmas.
Thank you for the information, Steve. Ms. O'Gallagher?
Thank you. I just wanted to also recognize the Will County Farm Bureau. Every year it's the end of theirs to collect dollars for the wreaths for the Abraham Lincoln Cemetery as well. And this year we collected enough to place 1,700 wreaths at those graves. So while our group is doing it and the group that Ray is working with is doing it, you know, it's something to think about to everyone here, maybe next year, to find a couple of $15 in your wallet and purchase a wreath yourself. So it's a very important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? Anyone else? Announcement by our majority leader, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I want to also thank Karen for all the work that she's done and the support. I mean, with our staff in the board office, we could not get anything done. They're just always on top of stuff, and Karen, you've been doing this stuff for a long time, and so we hope to be able to see you around here, and thank you very much for everything you do. We're talking about the wreaths, and I think Suzanne said that she'd heard from her daughter, Julia, who's in boot camp for the Navy, and I think we need to remember all our servicemen and women out there, and especially their families that they go through in this whole process of giving up one of their sons and daughters for the good of our country. And with that, I'm going to keep this brief and say, may all the days of all the years that God has still in store be filled with every joy and grace to bless you more and more. May hope of heart and peace of mind beside you ever stay. And that's the golden wish I have for you this Christmas Day. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our friends and families here on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Our minority leader, Mr. Brooks.
I don't know how I can top that, you know. Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by, first of all, congratulating Karen Burke on her retirement. She certainly has been a help to me personally as well as our caucus, and I'm sure your caucus as well. And also, our prayers are with our county board member, Debbie Melatello, and the passion of her father. We ask you all keep her in your prayer. Often say when one of us are bereaved, all of us are bereaved, regardless of our party affiliation, we're still family here, and we're certainly praying for Debbie Melatello and her family. I think it's only fair that I tell, since I've already told some, why I'm wearing the decorative neck brace.
I thought it was just a scarf.
For several years now, many of y'all probably have noticed I do not like neckties around my neck. And there was a medical reason for it. And I had a lump on my neck that prohibited me from wearing ties for a very long time. But yesterday I decided to go in the hospital and have that removed. And after having that removed, now I can go back to wearing ties. I told Corey earlier, all my ties is from 1980. And so I want to hold Speaker Eustace to this. He said he'll start by buying me the first tie. So that is why I'm wearing the brace. It'll be off in a few days, and hopefully someday I can look as good as you, Mr. Executive, when I get back in my tie. It might be a challenge.
I don't know.
But also I want to our capital improvement chairperson, Ray mentioned earlier about the groundbreaking, the courthouse, and I and my colleague Denise Winfrey are very excited because along with the city of Joliet and all of the partners that made that possible, Ray, we are very excited because you kept it in my district, in this gate. So I'm very happy for that, to have one more improvement in my county. And then lastly, certainly want to wish you, Mr. Executive, County Board, thank you so much to our Democratic caucus all year for the work. The Republican caucus, thank you all year. Even though we oftentimes disagree, we have accomplished a lot this year. And we have showed the state of Illinois how government works. So I want to just thank everybody for their cooperation. Merry Christmas to you all, to all your families. And since the new year is coming up, above all things, I wish that you may prosperous and you all may be in good health. Happy New Year, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Speaker Eustace.
I think I'm going to repeat everything they just said. Yeah, I'd like to start off by thanking County Board staff for all their hard work all year long. You know, they're kind of the unsung heroes, so to speak. We as a board just would not be able to accomplish what we do without them. And they're always they always seem to be under pressure, and that's because we put them under pressure. But I want to thank our staff. It was a particularly busy year this year. I think there was a lot of budget work that went around, that was required this year, with revenues perhaps being cut and so forth from the state. So everyone did a really great job, did a little overtime. So I think our staff. My county board, well, I think I'm going to go with the executive's office first. I want to thank the executive's office also for their work. We may not always agree how to get to a point, but we don't necessarily disagree on what we need to accomplish. We can disagree on maybe how to accomplish that, but we're usually going in the same direction. And a lot of hard work and dedication comes out of the executive's office. So thank you for all your hard work throughout the year. I see Mary there. Mary, thanks for just keeping me on the straight. It's not always easy, I understand. But to my county board and my colleagues, you know, what makes us unique here in Will County, but not unique as a county. You know, we, county board members, this is not how we make our living. We are not compensated a great deal of money to do this, which means we all have to have jobs. And board members, they sacrifice their personal time, they sacrifice their vacation time to come here. Some of our colleagues have jobs where they travel all over the country. They have to try to get their schedules to get back here, and everybody does a pretty good job. I'm always making sure they're aware of what's going on here. It makes you special in my mind, because when people approach us as a board, they think this is your full-time job. You know, well, why aren't you there? Why aren't you here? Because I still have to go make a living. I have to go and support my family. It makes you really a special group, because it requires a lot of dedication for you to accomplish things for the county. So you are all special, especially to me. I thank you for all your hard work throughout the year. I look forward to a prosperous 2018. There's still a lot on our plate, a lot to be accomplished. And I want to wish everybody the merriest of Christmas, and have a great new year. And I look forward to all your hard work in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Also, I wish a very Merry Christmas to everyone, and a healthy and happy New Year 2018. So with that, we will stand at recess to Thursday, January 18th. 2018, at 9:30 in the morning.